Aquarius, welcome to your November 2018 love reading. I'm Raina, and I'm doing your reading next because I was doing Taurus's reading and I got a couple of cards associated with Aquarius, so I thought, okay, what sign should I do next? I'll do Aquarius. Now, if I get some cards associated, if I get the Empress and or the Hierophant, then you know that something is going on with you guys. Okay, so here this is. It's interesting because I get a feeling of Aquarius, of being maybe on edge. Maybe you feel like you've tried really hard to make something work and the other party hasn't been very accommodating or appreciative of your efforts. And you know, it's almost like I feel bad for those who may be going through this, because I feel like maybe the other person doesn't seem to understand you, and so they're looking at you in a way, maybe they're judging you in a way that isn't fair to you, but it's because of their own perception or lack of perception. I mean, I don't know if it's possible to have a lack of perception. Well, perceiving things or insight, a lack of insight. And they're judging you on their own terms. But for some reason, when I saw that Page of Swords, I felt this sense of sadness. And actually, the Page of Swords, you know, it's very unusual for me to actually feel emotions when I see a card. The Page of Swords is a card of maybe wariness, being not necessarily on edge, but being on alert, on high alert. And it's really kind of funny because the card right next to it, the Death card, is associated with Scorpio. And it's the kind of mentality and behavior I would expect from Scorpio. Because Scorpio people tend to be, and I'm talking about, it could even be like Mars and Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio, sometimes Sun, Moon. They tend to be, a rising sign, a little bit wary of others' motivations, intentions, and kind of like a little bit suspicious. So with the Page of Swords, I associate suspicion. But I'm getting this for your sign. So, you know, obviously you might have the Moon in Scorpio for all I know. And maybe you have that tendency to kind of not necessarily embrace other people's feelings towards you and believe that they're sincere. Okay, let's look at some of these other cards. This is a card of feeling the burden of something. 10 of Wands. This person is slumped over or hunched over. And they have this, they're carrying all these wands. Remember that the number 10 is the end of a cycle. So it's almost like the breaking point, okay, as far as I'm concerned, of this situation. And to me, this implies that this has been going on for a long time. So this scenario here would be a long-term relationship, or if you're single, that this is a recurring pattern in your life. And the recurring pattern is giving and not getting. And I would especially urge you, if you do not know what your inner planets are, if you do not know what your Venus and Mars are, to go to a free chart generator and try to find it out, and have your time of birth, if possible, and see if you have Pisces, because I could totally see that Pisces is the sign next to you. And you might even have some sign, a moon sign, perhaps like Cancer or Scorpio, that would also indicate this type of behavior or pattern, where you are the one that, when you get involved with somebody, you put your effort into it, and the other person is constantly, there's a sense of indifference in a way, and that's unfortunate, you know, when you really put a lot of effort into something and somebody else doesn't seem to appreciate it. And the interesting thing about this, though, is that because of the nature of Aquarius, and because Aquarius really does, at the end of the day, want freedom in their life, it could be one of those deals where you tend to be attracted to those people who are elusive in your life. Maybe it's a fellow air sign. Gemini just popped into my mind, but you know, I normally, you know, I would think of Gemini as elusive, but it could be other signs, obviously. And the point being that sometimes when people really are afraid of intimacy, they tend to make a beeline towards those people that are going to give them a lot of freedom, because they're just hard to pin down. And if you have, especially if you have the combination of water sign, maybe a water moon sign, and a sun in Aquarius, you may have that kind of hot and cold temperament yourself, and sometimes you really pour yourself into the relationship, and then you lament when the other person is elusive. But if they were there all the time, you might run for the hills. So it's kind of a funny dynamic there. The foundation of this ring is the Two of Swords. Now, this is where I was kind of going with this when I said I felt a bit of sadness with that Page of Swords. It can be a situation where you're dealing with somebody who is back and forth with you, has a, maybe they are married, and they sometimes, and that they may, it may not be that they're sneaking around. They may just be back and forth with their, now I'm thinking of Libra, back and forth with their spouse, and they tell their spouse, you know, I'm going with this other person, like, and another thought that just came into my mind is they're playing both of you. They're playing their spouse, they're playing you. Or maybe you're the spouse and they have a lover, and you know about the lover. And because you're an Aquarian and you're not like overtly possessive, you almost tolerate that as, hey, you know, it's par for the course in life, you know. So what if you fall in love with two people? That's no big deal. And that's not the wrenching part. The wrenching part is that you have to constantly deal with this back and forth. And that's what's making you on edge and making you hypervigilant, okay? Because maybe they promised that they were going to be with you and they were going to let go of that other person, but then they went back to that person. Remember, right now, Venus retrograde goes into mid-November, and so that person from the past can come back. Maybe they did close the door on that relationship, and now it's back open again, and it's reopening a wound. The higher message is the Death card. I hope this isn't a 10-minute train. And the Death card is a card that's associated with Scorpio. We are in Scorpio, obviously. But in terms of what it stands for transition. It stands for irrevocable endings. There might be a part of you that thinks that you can make something work if you just give it your all, if you just do that extra effort, and you're in denial over the end of a relationship. Right here, if you're the one that's waiting for somebody else to make a decision, to me, yes, that is the end of a relationship, because it's like, why do you want to be in a relationship with somebody who has such a hard time choosing, where you are so interchangeable with another person that it's like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I think Aquarius is detached enough to be like, well, you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles, you know, that's, yeah, I mean, I'm open, because you're open to many different people in terms of being interested in, you know, you're not like a Scorpio person where it's just like black or white. I can only love this person and I'm indifferent to 99.9% of everybody else. No, you are the kind of person who can find interesting qualities in probably just about anyone. That can be problematic though, because whereas somebody else may see a certain quality as a deal breaker, that may be the thing that attracts you the most about that person. And yet it can be a highly dysfunctional aspect of another person. And you may see it as a lovable quirk in that person, but it's not. It could be very destructive. So, it's possible that you're not seeing things as they really are. On the ground, you know, that's the spiritual placement is really about kind of the philosophical way to look at things. This is, you know, in real life, down to earth terms, the Ace of Cups can indicate a new relationship coming into fruition. And I actually get two of these cards because this is in the near future and this is an offer of love. So this is the thing. This could literally be with a water sign person. And I would say if it's a sun in a water sign person, if it's a sun in Scorpio, sun in Cancer, sun in Pisces, it might not be the same. It might be even better if it's like the moon sign, because perhaps it would be wonderful if it was like a combination of like an air sign, a fellow air sign, and water, because you would have something in common with them and they would provide an emotional balance to you. But of course, how can we fall in love with a specific astrological combination? But what I was thinking too was, since the Death card does connect to Scorpio, it could be saying that there is a Scorpio person out there. Maybe it's a platonic friend that you never even considered as a romantic partner who's like perfect for you. That could, you know, that's an alternative outlook on things. But like with this card as what's coming in, this could be somebody who is an artistic individual, and you may have that in common Perhaps you meet them on open mic night or at a poetry reading or in an art class. And the fact that they have artistic talent is what appeals to you. Maybe they have a bohemian spirit, because I always associate Aquarians with that kind of bohemian vibe. And but this person is going to be, if this person comes into your life, they are going to be very romantic. And so if you're the kind of person who kind of shies away from that typically, if you don't like that type of approach because you find it overbearing or, you know, it makes you uncomfortable, what I would advise you to do is to kind of like override that. Don't automatically reject it out of hand. Sometimes Aquarius, especially if you have Mercury in Aquarius, which is the way your mind works, your mindset, you may have a tendency to be quite rigid in your beliefs where you think only certain things, even though Aquarius is a funny sign because it's associated with free thinking and blah, 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 but it's a fixed sign too. So there can be these like quirky parts of Aquarians that are very set in their ways. And it's almost like prejudice. And you may have a prejudice against people who are, you know, who wear their heart on their sleeve, and you think, oh, you know, they're naive or they are too emotionally needy. Just hear them out and don't be turned off to it, because you never know if that person is actually the perfect person for you, but you have a tendency to, like, you know, always go after, like I said, maybe elusive types of people who are not romantic, because I don't associate your sign with being romantic. So you may not value that quality, and you may like the kind of person who is a free spirit, but is very brainy, eccentric, and yet totally erratic, totally unreliable, and not accessible, not somebody that you can count on to have like a consistent relationship with. And then there might be somebody here who's like, their heart is open for you, and they really like, you know, going back to that original Page of Swords, which I saw as you being misunderstood, they really understand you. They know what makes you tick, especially if they are a water sign or have a prominent water in their chart. They kind of hone in on your energy, and they really appreciate those qualities that make you you. The outcome is the Queen of Pentacles. And, you know, especially if you're a woman, I guess it doesn't matter the gender, but this is like a very feminine energy, a passive energy. Queen obviously is feminine, and so is Pentacles, the earthy quality. This is not this is like a very domestic kind of a vibe. And so in some cases, you may meet somebody that you feel like, hey, I could see myself starting a family with this person. And I could see myself, you know, you might get into this real homey kind of a feeling that you want to have this person's baby or something. I want to have your baby. Or just in terms of like, you know, with the Queen of Pentacles, there's a domestic or home, the actual literal house vibe to that, where you're like, I could see myself living with this person, having a house with this person, forming a life with this person. The Queen is a feminine energy, but it's also feeling self-empowered. And a lot of times I think Aquarius shies away from anything to do with it, you know, even like Pentacles, the earth. You're very upper chakras. You know, you're very like abstract. And the pentacles with the earth I associate with kind of like the sensual side of life. Maybe the second chakra, the third chakra, even the first chakra, the body. And really kind of grounding yourself. And with the emotions as well, it's like this sense of a relationship that has some sort of heft to it. I don't know how to put it. Like it's actually a well-defined relationship. And maybe you were in a relationship that was kind of a vague thing, and it was on again, off again. And this kind of with the Pentacles, it has like a solidity to it. And so yeah, I think that you may meet somebody who really disarms you. And this is like somebody kind of on guard, you know, and it's like you're like letting go and you're willing to open your heart maybe to this person and feel that a sense of permanency. You know, when I think of Pentacles, I think of things that are enduring, that are tangible, that are not on again, off again, but they're things that you can really count on in your life. Okay, Aquarius, that's what I have for you. This is kind of an unusual reading in a way, because I usually associate, I don't know, it feels different, but it was very interesting to do that reading. If you'd like a personal reading as opposed to this general reading, please check out my website. The link is below. And I'd love to read for you. But in any case, I hope you have a wonderful November. Take care. Bye.